Welcome to LucastechOnNow, mastering ServiceNow solutions one at a time. All right, everybody, let's get into it. We got a great topic today. We are going to be talking about security within the ServiceNow platform, and we will be going through a scenario where we want to hide the work notes. I know it's crazy. We want to hide the work notes for all companies except for one. Might be thinking to yourself, why would we want to do that? Well, in this business case, and this is a real world business case that I've recently had to work on, and we started letting some of our vendors and customers in our domain separated instance have their own work groups or assignment groups within our platform. They have their own domain, they have their own users and logins and all that fun stuff, just like a normal user would, but it's some of our customers. So this came about after looking at what access they had and how we use work notes today. And out of the box, work notes are always meant for internal use. We are an MSP, so that was meant for our internal support and engineers teams to be able to add work notes, add technical information to what was going on with this incident, what they did so far to troubleshoot it. Maybe they're passing it off to the next shift, and we wanted to be able to, use work notes as what they're intended for. However, this set us up for a scenario where our internal work notes could also be visible by these new customers and our customers that have their own assignment groups. So that's kind of the backstory of why we're going to be hiding the work notes in this example. This is just an example. There's could be many reasons why we would want to hide a field from various assignment groups. Maybe it's only folks that are in a certain domain instance. Another example, maybe there's a feedback field on an incident that the managers would use to add notes into that incident that only the managers should see, that maybe they use it for something in the employee review process where they can actually add notes to an incident. They go through the review, they can look for that user. Here's their notes that they're able to input on the incident, so it's all connected, but it's not visible to the end user. Right? Now, why would we want to not? Why would we not want to use a client script? Client scripts are easy for the most part. They can get pretty complicated if you add any type of callbacks and things like that, but that's for another video. Or a UI policy. Well, the fundamental reason why is that's done in the client, right? So that's in the client as the page is loading. Client script that runs, goes through and hides that field and removes it from the DOM with the client script, right? It's still technically available. It's just hidden during the render process. So some pretty sneaky folks or people that know what they're doing could probably figure out a way to work around that client script and maybe get at that information another way. Using a security attribute, we're going down to the field level, actually at the field level on the incident table. And another thing that this does for us, we'll see it when we go through the demo. If you're using both the traditional UI and service operation workspace, for example, typically you'd have to do UI policies for both of those instances, right? Traditional UI and workspace. Doing it at the cell level or the attribute level or field level, it takes care of it right at on the server side when the page loads. It doesn't matter if it's workspace or standard UI, right? All right, so let's get going, right? So, little intro. Leave some comments below. If you have additional questions about any of the content we're covering today, I'll do my best to get answers back out to you. And don't forget to hit that subscribe button, hit the like button, all that fun YouTube stuff. All right, so we're going to be using a company. So we did some housekeeping here before we get started today. Let's go to our companies, and I created a company called LucasTechOnNow. Again, we got some branding going, and we have an employee here that's associated with LucasTech. So this user is the only user that's going to be able to see work notes once we're done. Pretty cool. So how do we get started? So first thing we want to do is make sure that in your right side, you're going to have to elevate your role. Now, if you don't have security admin, you won't see elevate role here. So you might have to talk to one of your colleagues or someone that runs the instance, maybe in a lower tier environment. Never do this in prod first. No. and uh, and see if you can get security admin. If you're doing this in your personal developer instance, you will absolutely have elevate role, and you'll be able to do what we're doing. So I'm going to go ahead, elevate, check the box, update. And I should note this is Xanadu. That's what we're currently on. We're getting ready to do our upgrade to Yokohama. Actually started it this week. Now I got my security. I got the little symbol up here letting me know that I'm security admin. And we're going to go to our incidents. Close. Out of the box default view. You can see we got our work notes here, additional tabs, fun stuff. Query help, internal application, all that good stuff. You can see we see a work note down here right now because we haven't done any changes, and I'm as admin. So there's a few ways to get to the field that we want to hide, right? And right click, figure table. We go through all tables, incident table, quite a few ways. As everything in ServiceNow, there's quite a few ways. We can go right to security rules. Let's click that and see where that takes. And controls. I don't like the way it takes us to task and all that fun stuff. So back one here. Look, like our normal incident table. We got our columns, right? All that fun stuff. Let's look at work notes, just so we understand where everything's going to take in place, right? Okay, so we see work notes, journal input, 1,000 character, and if we look at it, the dictionary for it, active, the normal stuff. Got the access controls for it. Yeah, attributes. We have no overrides. So looks pretty straightforward. Nothing nothing too crazy. Normal work notes. But where we can begin, go to all. Security. So security attributes. New. We're going to say LTN hide work note. Give us a name. Now the type, this is going to be what our attribute returns when it's evaluating the work notes field. And in this case, we're going to be returning a Boolean to be true or false. Either they have access or they don't. Drop down, we'll choose true or false. Now that is dynamic. Read the field message here. The field is checked. It is elevated per transaction. Absolutely want to leave that checked for what we're doing right here. We're just going to do this down here. And it gives us a little warning about using current. Current is not allowed in our security attribute. All right, so get what our code's going to look like, and we'll go through some of that code, right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to identify the company, this ID, that will have access to work notes. If we do duplicate our page here, back to our company. We'll copy sysid. We'll just keep sysid. So now we know the sysid. So what we're going to do is we're going to evaluate at runtime when someone loads the incident form. We're going to apply the security attribute that checks the currently logged in user to see if they have access to read the work notes or not. I'll show you how we do that in script right here. All right, so we're going to say var cloud company equals their sysid. Step one. Then we would say var user comp equals. Now remember, this is running on the server level, so we have access to GS. We can say GS dot get user dot get company ID. So now we have our allowed company and the current user that's logged in company. Fine. And now that we have that, we can simply write an if statement. If user comp will equal allowed comp. Remember what we're returning? Returning a Boolean. So we're going to return true. Oh, no, answer. Sorry, not return, answer. else. Oh, colon. That's it. That's a simple script at runtime that's going to check the user, get their company ID. We validate if these two equal, turn true, not false. Good to me. We'll hit submit. Back to our security attributes. Have one here. There's our LTN, right? Okay. So now here's how we apply it. Here's how we apply it, and this is really cool. Remember, we have to have our elevated privilege. So we're still elevated. We come over to our incidents again. All right, let's head back over to the incident table. We're in our access controls. Let's show matching on read. You can see we have a few here, right? We have some for work notes for read. What we want to do is we're not gonna mess with anything that's currently out there. But if we look at these, we're gonna get some attributes that we need to know or understand, right? So here it says allow read work for incidents with anybody that has SN incident read. Right? So if you have the additional roles installed for ITSM management, you can have an explicit role of SN read. Look at the next one. Work notes, read, incident write. Write to it, you should be able to read it. Okay. But what we're going to do is we're going to create a new one. Okay? We're going to create a new one. In record, read, deny unless the incident, the work notes, always wants a role here. Let's say SNC. Oh, SNC internal doesn't exist in a. Oh, interesting. Good to know. Okay. So now here we are. Security attribute condition. We look in here. Look at that. We have our condition, LTN hide work notes. And since we chose Boolean, boom, there it is. It's going to say deny unless they have read access via this security script. Let's save it. And I'm pretty sure it's going to add a default role. At least it does in a domain separated one. So here it is. It's adding our field level. Might get a message up here stating, oh, okay, excellent. So in a domain separated instance, it asks us to have a role in here, which is interesting. All right, so now we've got our security attribute linked to our new ACL. We did a deny unless this returns true. And let's see what happens. Impersonate. And what was it, Lucas? Oh, here, before we impersonate. Oh, yeah, we can just impersonate anybody. So let's impersonate this here. This is what an incident. Okay, so they can see incidents. Let's see if it worked. A test. Look at that. They do not see work notes. Additional comments. Change the view. Okay, this user doesn't have access to the view. They don't see work notes. Get another user. Just check. Impersonate. Incident one. Oh, look at that. This user in service operation workspace. They're an ITIL user. Got them coming here. Look at our open incident. Here it is. Open up this one. See if it worked. They can see work notes. Check it out. Let's find another ITIL user. Another ITIL user not in our LucasTechOnNow company. All right, so let's look at Andrew here. Let's impersonate Andrew. Let's see if he has access to those work notes. Okay, look out. And look at that. No access to work notes. How awesome is that? That's fantastic. Imagine what we can do with this power, this newfound power, what we can do when we get those requests that seem like, how are we going to do that? How are we going to hide a field and make sure it's secure, make sure that people feel comfortable, it's not in the UI, it's running at the server level, all these things that we can tell to our colleagues, our boss, the managers of the department, so they feel comfortable if we want to have a field that's going to be on incident that maybe holds some sensitive data. Maybe it's something that we need to hide because maybe we have some type of compliance in place where if it's in the UK, maybe there's certain criteria for individuals to see certain fields on an incident form, or in the US, if it's a Gov customer, they have to be a US citizen and have access to be able to work in the US. There's all kinds of things now that we can do, and we can help our end users get the most information, get the most out of their system, most out of the incident, most out of change, you name it. We can now apply this technique across the board. Scoped apps, they have something to do for maybe a custom app, and this now is awesome, right? So he went to workspace. So let's just make sure. Let's go to incident in the normal UI. Open their test. Okay, no work notes. Isn't that fantastic? That's awesome. That is so good. So again, let's recap. We got security attributes. That was step one. Came out and created a security attribute. Oh, I'm impersonating, so. Oh, you'll. So we created our security attribute, and this is nothing more than a script, right? This is nothing more than a server-side script that we could run to do anything at this point. It could be a group member, it could be a company, it could be a certain role, you name it. we can script it and return a value back. In this case, we did, a Boolean true false. We can make this now, uh, any field hidden, at the field level, at an ACL level versus the client. I think that's a huge win uh, for everybody. That's just way more secure than we were just doing a client level. But yeah, so that's it, right? So we got our attribute. Next thing we did was we went to our ACLs. Right, so let's go to our ACLs. There. Starts with incident. Updated. Here's our deny. Read. Once we have our new ACL created, on our work notes field, we added our security attribute condition, saved it. Now it's all set. Hope you enjoyed this video. If you have questions, by all means, leave them down in the comments below. Ask questions. We've got a lot more content lined up for the coming months. We've got probably 10 to 12 scripting series like we see here on security and things like that. We have integrations. We're going to do an integrations with Discord. And any suggestions you guys have, leave them down below. Maybe we can come up with something that we can all work on together. Maybe you can go into Discord, sign up, and maybe get an account out here in the instance, do some type of onboarding integration or something like that. We've got quite a few different areas that we're going to cover. And it's going to be from basic stuff, client scripts and UI policies, and how we maintain our instances, update sets, and how do you move them? Should you be using a scoped app when you're doing your customizations? There's all kinds of stuff in the ServiceNow platform that I hope we get to share together. And by all means, thank you for your time. Thank you for watching through the video. You made it to the end. You're the best. You're going to have the best day ever. Don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button, and we'll see you next time.